exclusively here on the Monty Show, Jim Harbaugh now is the top target of the Los Angeles Chargers. Sources told us really last night and into this morning that these San Diego Chargers, who now play in Los Angeles, see, they rent space from the LA Rams at the Rams house. Anyway, the LA Chargers intend to make Jim Harbaugh their top target the moment the game on Monday night is over. They intend to interview Jim Harbaugh. I think they would really like to hire Jim Harbaugh. And we can have the arguments about cheating or what Jim Harbaugh is as an ethical man in college football, but there is no argument or conversation to be had. Jim Harbaugh is one of the top quarterback developers in all of football at any level. You have a quarterback who needs to be better than he is, and I think that is certainly the situation with Justin Herbert. And as somebody who is a huge Justin Herbert fan, hi, that's me. Hi. Justin Herbert has issues with mechanics. Justin Herbert has issues with pre-snap reads, frankly. And Jim Harbaugh is the guy to address those. Now, do they have other issues outside of that? Sure. They need to upgrade the skill positions. They absolutely need to be better defensively. But there is no question their number one priority, as it should be, is facilitating the growth, development, and prosperity of Justin Herbert. And Jim Harbaugh is their top target to do that. Jake, is Jim Harbaugh a good fit in San Diego, Los Angeles, Wales, vagina?
I think, for now, yeah, I think he's not a 5-year fit. I think that, yes, he can develop a quarterback. But the question, I think, for the Chargers, in addition to, developing your quarterback to a further extent, is what else does the organization need? Because ultimately, Brandon Staley showed that you could be in the playoff picture up until the last couple weeks of the season, and then you flame out, right? And I think that's been the struggle. Is like in their best years under Staley, they were a contender to make the playoffs, but you were never really a threat to get past, really wild card weekend or divisional weekend. And that's the tough part, is that you haven't been competitive to the deeper portion of the postseason. So at this point, if I'm the Chargers, yeah, Jim is a good opportunity. Yes, he can make Justin Herbert better, but is the price of making Justin Herbert better someone who's already shown you the ability to contend for, 4,500 yards a season?
Wow.
He's shown you what he can do now. Maybe if you're the Chargers, maybe the focus needs to be organizational development, having a head coach that can, develop an offensive line, somebody who can actually give Justin something to work with. Like, maybe let's go out and be better in the draft, find him weapons offensively that can stay healthy. So yeah, Jim's a good target, but I'm not sure that he covers everything that you really need in that organization.
I think he can build that. And I think he has got the ability to hire a really good staff. I think we saw that in San Francisco, and they won. In fact, they were inches away from a completion at the goal line in the Superdome from winning the Super Bowl.
You know what I would say about that? Herbert makes that throw.
He probably does, because I don't think anybody argues that Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Colin Kaepernick was at that point. And I think the biggest questions in Charger land right now, how do you upgrade Austin Eckler? I think you have to do everything you can do to get an offensive line that can allow Justin Herbert to stand in the pocket and deliver the football, which has been a huge problem. Injuries and the volume of hits that Justin Herbert takes, I think, are a huge problem. And I think you have to get more talented outside, with all due respect to Keenan Allen. I think that you have to get multiple and you have to get dynamic at wide receiver, and they are currently not that. Defense, they have talent, they need coordination. And I think that's it. I think their defense is a much easier fix than their offense. And I think in this league, and I think we undervalue it, when you have a quarterback of the caliber of Justin Herbert, you have to do everything that you can do to support him, grow him, and develop him. And right now, I don't believe the LA Chargers are doing that. Sure, do they have ownership problems on some level, but they're spending money in good places. I don't think they're spending money in the right places. Does Jim Harbaugh fix that? Well, I guarantee you, when Jim Harbaugh goes in there, he's going to have an offensive line, because it's something he believes in. You look at every team that guy has ever put his hands on, they win in the trenches and they win at the quarterback spot. And it's because he believes in that. He is an offensive guy. He is a quarterback. It's not rocket science. Jim Harbaugh knows how to win football games. The biggest question with Jim Harbaugh, such as in like at Michigan, what price are you willing to pay to have Jim Harbaugh be your head coach? Because he is going to alienate a large portion of your players. He is going to grind on them. You are going to win for a couple of years, and then he is going to pour gasoline all over your fire.
Yep.
And it's a question of how do you handle that? And I don't think when you fire a guy like Tom Telesco, the former general manager of the Chargers, you're making wholesale changes. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. And I think, that's the difficult thing with Jim. I look at the league and I say, okay, you've got Herbert locked up on this extension.
Massive extension.
Massive extension, 5 years. Like, you've got your guy under control. I think the challenge, though, is how long can Jim be there without it going south? Like you just said, like, can you get 3 years out of Jim? Because the one thing you can't say about Brandon Staley is, hey, the organization just rotted and it was a dumpster fire and it was terrible. No, like, your organization was fine. The health of the organization itself was fine under Brandon Staley. You just underachieved. Like, that game against the Ravens 2 years ago, that's the one where you're like, damn, dude, we got to win that game. We have the guy quarterback to win the game. We don't have the guns to throw to. So that's why I say, yes, Jim Harbaugh is a good option. Like, for him, I think the Chargers are a great option for Jim Harbaugh and vice versa. So it's a mutual fit. I just don't know that Jim Harbaugh is somebody that is necessarily worth it. I'm not sure that the trouble he's going to bring you eventually is worth it. Like, if I said, okay, you're going to bring Jim in for this upcoming season and he will survive past Justin Herbert's extension, will he be there? And if he doesn't survive, will Justin Herbert still be in your organization after the Jim Harbaugh meltdown? Because Jim Harbaugh, to me, is not worth Justin Herbert. If you said to me, hey, Jim's going to be in the organization, but 3 years down the road, you're losing Jim and Justin because Justin's so unhappy with how that ended, that's not worth it to me if I'm the Chargers. So I think it's a very slippery slope. You have to control that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I point nowhere past my Chicago Bears. I think Kevin Warren, the president of the Chicago Bears, told you everything you needed to know this morning when he was asked about the future of Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles, the general manager in Chicago, and he said, we're really focused on finishing the season strong, which is to say they're going to make wholesale changes, and I hope they do.
They should.
And I think, again, we talk about Harbaugh and Herbert. Do you have a franchise quarterback in Chicago? I think it is a very, very interesting question with Justin Fields because Justin Fields has played much, much better. And I think when you look at the Chicago Bears and you start to understand that they're not talented offensively. I mean, you have more on the outside, sure, but that's really it. You have an offensive line that can't protect Justin Fields. You have a coach that doesn't call plays. An offensive coordinator that doesn't call plays to suit Justin Fields, to the point where there's some people saying that Justin Fields is, sure, he's calling that play in the huddle, but he's teaching himself how to run a play inside of the play that was called because he doesn't want to run plays that are being called for him. Mm-hmm. I think you look at Matt Eberflus, he's a defensive guy. Absolutely. And he's an excellent defensive guy. The Chicago Bears defense has gotten much better since he took it over. But that's not what we need in a head coach when Justin Fields is a guy you committed to.
But you look at the Bears and, let's say the Bears were considering Jim. To me, the Bears are, I don't know, part of me says, hey, you're not really in a position to take a flyer on Jim.
You're not.
I'm a big believer that Justin Fields has the talent to be a franchise caliber quarterback, and he's starting to show you that. I don't think Justin Fields is ever going to be the thrower of the football that Justin Herbert is. I don't think he is that. That's not his skill set. He's not that gifted, but I do think he can be better than 2/3 of the league. I do think he's good enough to go out and win you playoff games, provided you develop him and provided he's got weapons to throw to other than DJ Moore, right? That's what quarterbacks need. So if Kevin Warren comes out and says, hey, Eberflus is gone, Poles is gone, all their assistants are gone, we're wholesale changes, cleaning house, we're going out and we're getting an offensive-minded head coach, we're going to build an offensive line, we're actually going to get someone worth a damn in the backfield, and then we'll worry about wide receivers. Okay, I'll start believing in Justin Fields a little more because now he's got somewhere to go. And for the Chargers, they're about, 2-3 seasons ahead of that process. You've got some talent there. You've got a more talented quarterback, a franchise caliber quarterback, and you just haven't put the pieces together. So that's why I say it's tough with Jim, because if Jim just took away the, hey, I'm going to burn your organization to the ground for 2 seasons portion and just left an organization when it was time and did it in a respectful way, I would auto hire him because he is going to develop Justin, and you can win with him.
Well, it's funny. One of the names I continue to hear about, and the Bears are one of the main pursuers of Lincoln Riley at USC. And
can't go wrong with that, in my opinion.
I think it's a really interesting situation because Lincoln Riley's been very quiet. Excellent recruiting class, excellent portal. But he's been very quiet. You have not heard or seen Lincoln Riley. And I think one of the things that's so interesting about Lincoln Riley is who's arguably likely to be the number 1 pick if they trade Justin Fields. Caleb Williams, the quarterback for Lincoln Riley, who's known Lincoln Riley since he was a high school kid. And I think it's a very interesting package deal. And I continue to hear that Lincoln Riley and a gentleman named Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator in Detroit, are 2 of the leading candidates to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. And I think that Lincoln Riley is a very interesting choice. I don't think there is any doubt the Bears will not hire Jim Harbaugh. I think that there is a certain sect of ownership in this league, and the Bears are one of them, that do not want to court controversy ever. And I think Jim Harbaugh is that guy. I think you look at somebody like San Diego, who play in Los Angeles in the Rams house, all they do is court controversy. That's all they do. They play in Los Angeles instead of Wales, Vagina. That's controversial.
Yeah.
So I look at Jim Harbaugh. I think he's an ideal fit with the LA Chargers. If you keep Justin Fields, I do not believe that Jim Harbaugh is a bad fit. He's just not going to be there for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that worries you, because if you don't trade Justin Fields, you're committing to him for a decade. That's the damage that you're doing. And you look at Patrick Mahomes not being the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, it set that club back a decade. And it's set him back draft picks and contracts. And you're looking at guy after guy after guy.
If you're Kevin Warren, the question you got to ask yourself is, hey, am I willing to stake my job on Justin Fields? Am I willing to stake my job and reputation on the success, or really future success, of Justin Fields?
Well, you know who you got to ask that question of? The next general manager and head coach of the Chicago Bears. Hey, Lincoln Riley, are you willing to stake your reputation and your job in the NFL, the only one you've ever had, on Justin Fields?
And I'd be willing to say, hey, Lincoln can develop him. Because what have I always said? Lincoln can make Heisman Trophy winners. I believe that Lincoln Riley can turn up Justin Fields, no doubt. But I think you make a great point. Why force Lincoln, if he's willing to take the job, obviously?
Yeah.
Why force him to work with Justin if he wants to work with Caleb?
And the hard part here is, if you commit to Lincoln Riley, you're committing to his quarterback. So if that's Justin Fields, great. It's probably going to be Caleb Williams. And I think those two are a great fit. But the other thing that you have to do is you have to have the ability to have a general manager who has full say over his coaching staff. And is Lincoln Riley going to give you that ability? Because Lincoln Riley, his defenses, as Jake has notably pointed out, are terrible. And we're seeing this at USC. I mean, you've in this league, you've got to have a quarterback and you've got to have a defense. Look at the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's finally a pocket passer.
Look at the Patriots, dude. Look at Bill's problems.
Yeah.
Bill's a defensive wizard, and their offense is garbage.
And I look at the Miami Dolphins. I look at the San Francisco 49ers. I don't care if you think that Brocktober is a system quarterback. I don't give a shit. He's not a system quarterback. You know what he is? He's a winning quarterback, because every game he plays, they tend to be in the game and they do pretty well.
What did they do? And this is my point about San Diego, or excuse me, LA.
Thank you.
This is my point about Chicago. Like, this is my point about, hell, even the Cardinals with Kyler, even as poorly as we think of Kyler,
please.
Like, dude, if you put weapons around a guy that's capable, he's gonna make the throw. Like, Brocktober can throw the ball in the flat. in a West Coast system to CMC, who's going to go out and eat up defenders in the open field.
Yep.
This is not rocket science, dude. So when Justin Fields has Jimmy from Walgreens running routes for him, that's not going to work out too well for you. That's the problem.
And I think if you look at San Francisco and Brock Purdy, the thing that is so notable and that stands out to you and why they are the most dominant team in the NFC, in my opinion, is because they win at every level on offense. You have the most dominant force at running back currently in the NFL, in my opinion, in Christian McCaffrey. I think you look, whether it's Debo or Ayuk or, pick your poison outside. Obviously, you have George Kittle, one of the better tight ends in the league. I think you just have weapons at every level that you can throw the football to. At the end of the day in this league, and it's what worries me about the Ravens, you have to throw the football to the tight end and to the running back to really succeed in this league right now. And I think you look at San Francisco, I think it's one of their real strengths. I think you look at the Dallas Cowboys, I think it's one of their real strengths is they're winning offensively at every level. I think you look at Jordan Love in Green Bay, it has hurt him so much that Jones has not been able to stay healthy and not been in the lineup consistently. And Dillon's not been able to stay healthy and be that workhorse running back. And Jones is this dual, like it's hurt him. And now look at what he's doing. He's throwing the ball down the field better. I look at all of these ingredients in the best teams in the NFL. And you look at this matchup right here, maybe this matchup right here is the best example of this. You have to have a quarterback that can win at every level of the offense. Can you say that about Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills? I don't think you can. Can I say that about Tua Tagovailoa? Yeah, I absolutely can. I absolutely can. And you look at these games this week, I look at the Dallas Cowboys, yeah, I can say that offensively. I look at the Seattle Seahawks who have to win. I don't think you can say that with the Seahawks. I think Geno is a serviceable quarterback. Serviceable. But you're not throwing the football, effortlessly at every level.
No.
Right? You're not. I think you look at these games and the Chicago Bears, what's been the key to the Bears? The ability to hit more deep down the field, the ability to have Justin Fields running the ball. And I think teams are figuring out you got to force him to go left. But when you allow Justin to roll out right and throw the football, that's where you're winning. It's the emergence of Justin Fields and his relationship with guys like Cole Kmet, let's say, or that's what's winning for the Bears. It's what holds back most of these teams. And when you look at the coaches in this league that should be fired, boy, is this an interesting conversation. Because I look at a guy like Robert Saleh with the Jets. Look at the Zach Wilson situation. Zach Wilson is in concussion protocol with the Jets. His career in New York is over. He's done. He will never play another game for the New York Jets. He will not. And any way you slice it, any way you like it, Robert Saleh is going to take the blame for that. He is going to get fired after this season. And I'll be honest with you, I think he should. Because I think he's completely mismanaged his offense. And you can continue to make changes offensively, and you have talent, and you have weapons, and you don't develop quarterbacks. That's what I know about Robert Saleh's coaching staff.
Yeah.
Right?
So hard to dispute that.
Yeah, it's very difficult to argue that. I look at the teams that are likely going to fire their head coaches, and I think you're in a position where none of them are surprising, in my opinion. Bill Belichick should be fired. I think they need to part ways. I think Bill has done a horrific job of building an offense in New England. Always has, and I think always will struggle offensively. I think they're 4-12. Bill Belichick should not be the head coach of the New England Patriots anymore. And I think it's awfully difficult to make an argument that Robert Saleh should keep his job. I think it's difficult to make an argument that, look at Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. Should Mike Vrabel be fired?
Yeah, probably.
I think that's tough, man. I think that is very, very difficult.
The thing is, whether it's Belichick or Vrabel, Arthur Smith in Atlanta, Eberflus, dude, are you an organization that's just out here suiting up to make sales money, or are you actually trying to win a ball game? Because it really is a philosophical conversation, because I'm a big believer. There are organizations out here that are just out here to make money. That's it. And that's fine.
What about Ron Rivera in Washington?
Yeah.
I think you got to let him go.
Yeah, I think you got to But the thing with Washington, though, see, this is the thing. Washington is in sort of this new era of like Commanders football where ownership changed. And
You got to get a new stadium there.
Right. So, yeah, it's,
You got to make a change there.
Yeah.
There's no doubt you got to make a change there. I don't think, I don't know what you do with the Las Vegas Raiders. I really don't know what you do. Antonio Pierce has done a very good job there. I struggle with the idea that you can somehow keep them, that you can keep the status quo there, I guess is the right way to say that.
Mhm.
Because again, he walked into a dumpster fire, but he's done a really good job in taking the ball and run with it. But what's next for the Las Vegas Raiders? Like, you got to address the quarterback position. There's no question about that.
Clearly.
Right? And now you've got Devontae Adams talking about how he wants Antonio Pierce to be the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
You're in a real tough spot there, man. And if I'm the Raiders, I think I'm probably making changes there.
Yeah, I think that you have to, whatever changes are required to define a direction. The organization has no direction. So,
would you fire Matt Eberflus in Chicago?
Yeah, I would. I'd fire Matt Eberflus and I'd fire his entire staff, which I guess goes without saying.
Would you rather have Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions offensive coordinator, or Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams?
I'd rather have Ben Johnson.
Because frankly, let's not forget this. The Bears have locked in the number 1 pick through Carolina.
Right.
That's their pick. So they're probably going to have 2 in the top 10.
My thing with Ben Johnson is that he has shown me what he's capable of. That, like, with all due respect to Jared Goff, he's a good quarterback. I like Jared Goff a lot.
He's grown exponentially in Detroit, especially the last 3 years.
He's grown. And honestly, that offense has grown. And you've shown me that you can put a scheme together, albeit the frickin' officials, you can put a scheme together to beat a good team. And I again, the reporting thing, and I know they've run into some stuff with the officials.
It's not his fault.
I'm not saying it's his fault, but my point is like, in that game, if you take the officiating stuff aside and you really just look at, hey, like, what's the offense done? Has it been productive? Well, yes, it's been productive.
It's been one of the best offenses in the NFL the last 2 years.
They've had momentum. Like, they look good. They're a problem for defenses. Like, this is somebody who is able to say, okay, we're playing this opponent. I can look at the tape and diagnose it, and I can diagnose it in a way where my quarterback will have success. And that's the part that we always leave off, I feel like. Cool, you can look at tape and diagnose the issue, but if the issue is throwing a deep ball and your guy can't throw that ball, what's the point? And that guy, Ben Johnson, can figure out a way to make it productive for, in this case, Jared Goff.
Yeah, and I look at the talent he's working with. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs has been nothing short of a revelation.
Who the hell knew who St. Brown was before this year, last year?
Look at the way that he's leveraged Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
I think Ben Johnson, I believe he will be the hottest coaching candidate in the NFL this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will, once they're done playing, and I think Detroit's one of the best stories. If you're not a Campbell fan, I don't know.
Where's Wasikowski, bro?
Yeah, why do you live in the United States if the Detroit Lions do not appeal to you, and you look at Dan Campbell and his story and what they've done and the success they've had? God damn, that's a great story. That's a fun story. You love that story. And I think that Ben Johnson deserves to interview for head coaching positions. And I think Brian Johnson with the Philadelphia Eagles is going to get some interviews. Now, their decline here has obviously hurt him. There's no doubt about that. And I think that when you look at Shane Waldron in Seattle, I think Shane Waldron is probably passed Brian Johnson by. But, man, I got to tell you, I think that Brian Johnson's going to be a great head coach in the NFL or in college football for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it is going to be very interesting to see. I think there could be up to 10 openings. I think, like, how many openings do you think there will be?
Yeah, I mean, I think up to 10, like the cap being at 10 is solid. But I think the minimum is going to be 6 or 7 at least.
You do?
Yeah, I think the minimum is 6 or 7 and the cap is 10. I think that,
yeah,
to your point, the way Kevin Moore worded that makes me feel like he is in fact going to make wholesale changes, which I really hope for. I think Dayball is another one to look at.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't think the Giants have a great direction right now. I always use the word direction because think about it. When a team is going good, they have direction. Hey, we've got a head coach, we got the quarterback, and then we've got a way that we have success on offense and our defense is cooking. The Giants don't have that. The Falcons don't have that. The Bears don't have that. But the Lions do. The Ravens do. San Diego doesn't have that, right? Like Kansas City is a really good example of this. You did have it, but seemingly now you're a little bit off track.
But this is why I say about the Jets, I am very curious to see if Robert Saleh keeps his job. I mean, there are a lot of reports he's out. There are a lot of reports he's coming back. I think there's a real good chance that Woody Johnson doesn't fire him, and there's one reason. Jimmy Kimmel's best friend. I think because Aaron Rodgers is there's a real good chance they don't fire him. But I think it's going to be a wild Black Monday.
Yeah,
I do. All right, Lance Johnson for $5. I listened to WHB 810. Oh, iconic.
Yeah.
In Kansas City. And when life is not crazy, the Monty Show. Howdy, boys. Been a little while. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, bro.
Lance, always good to see you. Sean Rollins gives 5 memberships on the Monty Show.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Aaron Wilson gets 1 Monty Show membership. Let's go.
Let's go, Aaron.
Hey, where are we getting entries for the $100 Amazon gift card today?
Let me check.
Obviously, James has. Hey, all you have to do here, guys. All you have to do is send us a picture of you being bucked up. Did you order something on Bucked Up? Let's see. I know I got a DM from Carl who says, let's see.
I do not have any entries currently.
Carl says, I don't have a camera on my phone.
Oh, please.
Carl.
Don't give me that crap about how you have a Nokia from 1940, dude. Come on.
Carl, no. We're not doing that.
That's bullshit.
We are not doing that. I am not. No. The answer is absolutely
You're
not.
lucky that doesn't get you disqualified, dude. Come on.
If you don't have a camera on your phone, Carl,
don't lie to me.
Maybe we just need to hit the reset on this. Come on. Listen,
do we have bad juju because we're doing this on a Friday? Is
that
what this is?
Well, if you didn't take off Tuesday, maybe we had a fantastic Happy New Year giving Tuesday.
Better fucking execution.
But you wanted to be in the Mile High Club on Tuesday, and it's fine. All you have to do is show us you're bucked up, and you have an hour to do it. You want to win a $100 Amazon gift card? Please feel free to hook it up right now. Send us a picture that you ordered Bucked Up, that you're drinking a Bucked Up, that you have a Bucked Up buckshot, perhaps, that you use Bucked Up pre-workout. Usually it takes a video to win this, which, hey, it is what it is, right? Carl, get a Polaroid. I don't know what to tell you. If you don't have a camera on your phone, I'm not trying to judge. Everybody ain't able, but I am. You have a camera.
Don't play intramurals, brother.
I'm not buying it. BuckedUp.com. Make sure you use the promo code Monty to get 20% off. Let's see. Tom Dean, Mahomes regular season pay. Great. Cool. Awesome. Boston Mapes, I'm off to play Batman. Have a great weekend, guys. You're off to play Batman. What are you doing? CJ Banch, do you think resting Brock Purdy will hurt the Niners come playoff time? I love this conversation. I get he's probably banged up, but the rust in timing is an issue. They practice live game reps more than anybody else. The San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy has been rested. He did not throw really all summer long. You got to remember that because of the surgery. He is not going to have wear and tear on the arm or the elbow. And they live rep a lot during the week. I don't think rust will be an issue for him.
I also think that there could be a little bit of, hey, Brock needs a little bit of a rest mentally. I think that Brock made some plays that were not great, frankly. Made some throws that were not great. And I'm not saying he sucks, but some of those throws cost them some wins, dude.
But you know what? I think he needed to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
I truly think he needed to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a Brock Purdy guy. I believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he needed to make those mistakes. I truly do. Delaric, what's up, Delaric? Gives us $5. I'm going to apologize now. And I have a feeling that if the Bears win this week, they won't fire their coach and go with Fields next year. I think the Fields thing is much less up in the air. I think it would be very difficult to trade him now unless you hire Lincoln Riley. Because if you hire Lincoln Riley, you're drafting Caleb Williams. I would assume. It depends on who you want to be your head coach. I have heard Ben Johnson from Detroit that he is their guy. They like him a lot. They really want an innovative, and here's why I think Eberflus gets whacked. The Chicago Bears, from what I've heard, the Bears really want an offensive innovator. Kevin Warren is not, the guy who was the Bears president for like 50 gajillion years is a guy named Ted Phillips. Stone Age dude. Like, don't change anything. I am never going to use moist flushable wipes. I will only use sandpaper.
Yeah,
right?
we're not making any changes.
Ted Phillips. You look at Kevin Warren. Kevin Warren is an innovative guy who wants to make money that will provide him with the opportunity to win football games, which will make him more money. That's how Kevin Warren's operated. I look at Matt Eberflus. He's not going to make you money because he doesn't win games. And you have Justin Fields. And listen, I think Moore is a hell of a, and I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I think Moore is a hell of a wide receiver. I mean, as a Bears fan, he is everything that we've
you
wanted.
Want him on your team.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
But not even want him. You have him.
Yeah.
And if I look at DJ, where's DJ's number? DJ Moore, 92 catches, 1,300 yards, and 8 scores. I want him on my team. He's a weapon. But are you telling me that Cole Kmet, the tight end, who's got exactly half of those yards at 678, are you telling me Cole Kmet should be your second best receiver on the team? No. You need to get more dynamic so that you can be more diverse. Do you understand that they can't run bunch formations in Chicago? One, because Justin Fields isn't at that level. They don't have the talent outside to run bunch formations. How's that possible? I don't know either. It's they're so under-talented on the offensive side of the football. And we're talking about guys like Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott, like Khalil Herbert finally back and healthy. But do you guys know who the starting running back of the Chicago Bears is? No, you don't. You don't. You don't know that it's Dante Foreman or was, and Khalil Herbert.
Is that guy?
You don't know who it is.
Yeah, I don't think they have a starting running back.
You don't. You don't. His name is David Montgomery, and he plays for the Detroit Lions. They're woefully under-talented.
Yeah.
So you're going to make changes because I think they want to get very, very multiple. They want to be able to, again, it's this new trend in the NFL, playing offense at every level.
Yes.
It's a huge thing in the NFL, and the Bears can't do that. Bears can't do that. And really, you look at this division right now, there's only one team in the division playing multiple, really, and it is usually the Minnesota Vikings, but they're so beat up. And I still think they missed Dalvin Cook, even though he just signed with Baltimore today. But they have not been able to be as diverse schematically because they don't have the personnel anymore. And now you look at Green Bay. Green Bay is a completely different offense at this point. And they're now, I think, better defensively than they are offensively, but it's because of all the injuries in Green Bay. Ryan Willie says the Packers own the Bears. Sure they do. That's the best you have. That's it. I think you look at those and it's just,
yeah,
the Bears will make changes because they know they are not good enough. They know they are not good enough, in my opinion. Replica for $5. Pete Carroll needs to go. Defense has regressed for years despite being expensive. I don't disagree with that at all. Also has a terrible record versus McVay and Shanahan. Ja trade was a disaster. Well, listen, I think you look at Pete Carroll, geez. The problem is he kisses babies and shakes hands.
Yep.
You've needed change for several years. Now, was it Russ or was it, I don't know. Are you telling me that Russell Wilson just forgot how to play football? Apparently, because Sean Payton is running his ass out of Denver on a rail.
Because it's garbage.
I would agree. In Seattle, you need wholesale changes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that 100%. I'm not even sure that you can argue that. Honest to goodness. Tom Dean for $5. Monty missed my Mahomes point a couple of minutes ago. Eric Bieniemy left as the OC and Mahomes' numbers dropped. They're also woefully untalented at the skill position. It's not that Eric Bieniemy, because Eric Bieniemy, and I'm sure you guys know this, Eric Bieniemy isn't an architect, right? He's a foreman. He's a guy that just keeps the offense going, not a play caller, clearly, not an architect, he's a guy that just keeps the offense going in the right direction. That's Andy Reid's offense. If you look at the numbers in Kansas City, what is the real problem in Kansas City?
Lack of talent.
Who's the number one wide receiver in Kansas City?
Yeah, I don't know either because it ain't Kadarius Toney.
Rashee Rice with 938 yards. Justin Watson with 460 yards. And obviously Travis Kelce's a weapon. He's a tight end. Your tight end can't be leading your team at 984 yards.
No.
Valdez Scantling, 315. Like, do you guys understand how just bad they are offensively? And we haven't even gotten to the point where you start looking at Kadarius Toney, who's only got 169 yards receiving. Do you guys understand that? It's not like he's a 800-yard receiver. Kadarius Toney has 169 yards, and he's only been targeted 38 times, and he's a complete disaster.
What does he drop? 37 of them?
You look at the issues in Kansas City, they are not with the coordinator. They're with the talent. You look at Isaiah Pacheco. Is he a number one running back? No, but who's the number two there? Oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has been a huge problem for them. So it doesn't matter. Andy Reid's the offense there.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's the play caller there. Always has been, always will be. The issue is you don't have talent at the skill positions for a guy like Patrick Mahomes. That's what is so shocking. And you look at who's the best team in the NFL right now.
Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens. Okay, this is a really good example. Okay, so the Baltimore Ravens have Lamar Jackson as their top runner and their top passer. But you built an offense around him running, and you still have Gus Edwards, or had Gus Edwards, right? You still have Gus Edwards and his 4.1 yards per carry, right? The biggest issue is Mark Andrews, who played 10 games and is still your third leading wide receiver. Do you guys understand that Odell Beckham Jr. last week passed Mark Andrews to become the number 2 receiver on the team? He's played 14 games. And, of course, the great Zay Flowers, who's not playing this week. 16 games, 858 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Who leads the Ravens in receiving touchdowns? Oh, that's right. It's Mark Andrews, who only played 10 games. Why will the Baltimore Ravens not win the Super Bowl, in my opinion? They're not deep enough offensively. That's going to be the issue with the way that they match up. Now, I could be completely wrong about that. Sure. I'm not the smartest guy in, the tool in the shed.
Old Monty over here.
Old Monty over here. But I look at, if you get into a shootout with the Miami Dolphins, can you score with the Miami Dolphins if you're the Baltimore Ravens?
I want more.
No, you can't. The question is, can the Miami defense play with the Baltimore Ravens defense? And I don't think it can.
Nope. Right?
The team that you truly do not understand is the Buffalo Bills. And again, I just don't know. Do you guys understand the Bills either win the division or they don't make the playoffs? Like, that's where the Buffalo Bills are. And I truly do not. I don't understand and this is going to be a conversation, because that game's in Miami and look who's favored. Buffalo is favored.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills are favored. Can Josh Allen win a game that has to be won? I don't know either. And
yeah, they're a physical team though. And I think that's in their favor for sure.
But here's the problem. Again, go look at the depth chart on offense. Who is their number one wide receiver? Well, Stephon Diggs. Why is Gabe Davis not more of a threat offensively? That's the thing that is wild to me. Stephon Diggs has 100 receptions. Just put a number in your head. How many catches do you think their number 2 guy, Gabe Davis, has?
30.
45. 746 yards, 7 touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid has 66 receptions at tight end and only 2 touchdowns. That's a schematics problem.
Yes.
That's not
X's and O's problem.
Exactly. It's a schematics problem.
And the problem is they don't run the football. So why does Dalton only have 2 touchdowns? Oh, that's right. Because the linebackers don't have to respect the run through the A gap, so they can constantly have someone on Dalton.
James Cook has done a nice job. I mean, he's a 1,000-yard back, which in this league is great.
Run for 2,000. If the defense doesn't have to respect it because you don't call it enough, what does it matter?
I mean, he's only got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Who's their rushing threat, especially in the red zone? Well, it's Josh Allen, which I don't love either. I mean, I just think there is something schematically broken in Buffalo. And do you make a head coaching change there? I highly doubt it, especially if they make the playoffs. If they don't get in, I could absolutely see them making a change at the quarterback.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Let's see. Jake is sending me things. Jeremy 635. Do you think the Chiefs losing Bieniemy is hurting the Chiefs? I do not. I've talked to a lot of people about this. It is simply a lack, in my opinion. It is a lack of talent. They're running the same formations. It's not Bieniemy they lost. It's Tyreek Hill. It is as prolific as he is at making babies, apparently. He's more prolific than that than I said it.
Well, the problem is you should have made a comment about his house and what happened this week, but we're not going to talk about that.
So Tyreek Hill's house caught on fire because there was a child playing with a lighter. Anyway, my point is, Tyreek's a wonderfully talented wide receiver. That's what they miss.
You understand they probably have 3 more wins if Kadarius could catch a football.
Do you understand that if they had Tyreek Hill running through that middle of the field route that he's running in Miami still, that Travis Kelce would be a far more dynamic option because it's at least 2 guys and probably a linebacker trying to cut that underneath deep route that because like Tyreek Hill starts on the left, runs up across and over to the far hash where the ball is just waiting to fall into his arms. And you're running a wide receiver through that zone. Well, where do you think Travis Kelce's going? Right behind it. Right behind it. He doesn't have the guy to run right behind anymore. So I think that is the issue 100%. Lance Johnson, got to disagree. Pacheco is a RB1. Problem is receivers that won't let Mahomes make them better. I don't disagree with that at all. The drops are clearly the issue.
Yeah.
But you're trying to play this game with an undersized running back. I don't believe that you can play undersized. And I don't know Pacheco's size. I probably shouldn't be spouting off at the
In
orifice.
my opinion, Pacheco's a dynamite number 2. He is an outstanding run his ass off number 2 because ultimately what a number 1 back in this league.
Yeah, he's 5'10", 200 pounds.
Yeah. Number 1 back in this league for me right now is probably 6 foot, 6'1", 230, 235, a real bruiser at running back who can run guys over for 3 downs, 2 downs. And then you bring in Pacheco when you want to. And all of a sudden you've got a guy that can really handle the pitch. He can run it through the guard. Like you can do a lot of things with him and he runs hard, bro.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a real problem for Kansas City. I think Pacheco's it's what I say about everybody in Kansas City. And Lance, you're not wrong. Pacheco's good. He's not great. He's not great. And that again, that's so and you're in Kansas City. Obviously, you're a Chiefs fan. You're way more probably up on it than I am. I think he's good, not great.
Mm-hmm.
And covering this league now for a long time, I feel like the best backs, and maybe it is, I don't know, who's got a great quarterback running back combination. Like you look at Jacksonville, right? Trevor Lawrence is clearly now an elite level franchise quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Travis Etienne is also a really good running back. And as much as I complain about size, he's 5'10", 200 pounds too. And the problem is he's always hurt, right? And he's been hurt. But I think he and Trevor Lawrence have a great relationship. Are they good enough? I don't know. But I also know that Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, that's a really dynamic multi-level offense in Jacksonville. Who's more talented at wide receiver, the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Kansas City Chiefs? You know the answer to the question, right? It's
about our guy Bijan Robinson.
He's an interesting. Atlanta's very interesting.
I mean, you don't have a quarterback, but you got a dynamite running back.
Look at their depth chart in Atlanta. You look at the depth chart in Atlanta, and you have multiple running backs. Bijan Robinson, 948 yards, 7 scores. Tyler Algier, wonderful receiver of the football, but he also is 180 carries, 659 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns for both Bijan and Algier.
Mm-hmm.
And that the problem there is you don't have a quarterback. You have a quarterback in Atlanta. And whether it's Drake London or like Kyle Pitts is in no man's land.
Yeah.
Right. So I just think you have, much to Lance's point, I just don't think you're talented enough. When Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, did you really come into this year and think he was going to make these dudes better? I got to think that's what their thought process was.
And that's
right?
on those dudes, not on Pat. So we're clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a Patrick Mahomes problem. I really don't. But that's just me. Wasikowski, the Bears couldn't use number 5 because they neglected their O-line. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Montgomery is a phenomenal power back. Is he a number 1?
Debatable. Depends on the system.
He's probably not a number 1. He's not. But there's so much talent. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, he is
outstanding.
There's not enough you can say about his development.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, thank you very much. Like, I just don't know that you can heap enough accolades into their talent development in Detroit. I truly don't. Big Daddy Magic, I'm so glad Josh Allen declined to take Taylor Swift on a date. Stop. He also says Buffalo's the best team. They're not close.
Victor's the way.
They're not a top 5 team in the NFL. They're truly not. And I think they're in that. When I look at truly the best team, who is the best team in the NFL right now?
It's the Ravens.
Nah, I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Dude.
I think the 49ers are deeper, more complex.
So, okay, what are you saying about that home performance then? Because that was an ass kicking.
Ask me in January. If you play like that against anybody else, right? And but look at what they did to Dallas. Because I think Dallas is arguably I think they are a top 5 team in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at Dallas and I look at, I don't know, who's the 3rd best team in the NFC right now? Probably Philadelphia in the postseason. I just think they need to get to the postseason like as soon as possible.
Seriously.
But I would probably put Detroit number 3. I would put San Francisco 1, the Cowboys 2, and I would put Detroit number 3. I mean, if you're putting my feet to the fire, I think I'm very curious to see what the Rams are. What are the Rams in the postseason? Is that a team that scares anybody? Nah, their defense.
Yeah, they don't scare me. I mean,